The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Well, it should. I've been a very happy client myself of Dan White and Associates for many, many years. On the phone right now for the tip of the day, which, one of the pros at Dan White does this every Wednesday right at the news at 1:30. And it's Andrew Wood. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Rick. Thanks
Fantastic.
for having me.
Good. We've talked about the Secure Act 2.0. A lot of people are wondering, what kind of changes have been made? How has it changed so many things that people normally do? And I know when you get to a certain age, you have required minimum distributions. We've talked about this before, but apparently there's a lot of confusion over this stuff, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately, the notification for RMDs, the change happened so late last year that a lot of companies, they were not able to stop out sending out letters or notification for these required minimum distributions. So as you know, we've talked about, they bumped back this full retire. I should say the required minimum distribution age. It was 70 and a half. That got bumped to 72, and then just late last year, the Secure Act 2.0 was enacted, and they bumped the RMD age to 73. So it happened so late that again, these companies, they already sent out these required minimum distribution notices for individuals. However, if you do turn 72 this year, you do not need to take a required minimum distribution. So if you turn 72 this year, you probably got a letter saying, from most financial institutions, saying that, hey, congratulations, you're 72. Now you have to start taking required minimum distributions, even though they don't have to, because that got bumped back to 73.
Yeah, you see, I'm thinking most people see a letter like that, they go, I'm going to do it anyway. Because you got an official letter.
Yeah, and we're actually getting phone calls, too. This actually just has to do with the IRA providers. Now, I will tell you that these IRA institutions, the providers, wherever you may have your IRA, if you do turn 72 this year and you got that letter, there should be notification. These providers have until April 28th to send you a letter saying that you do not have a required minimum distribution this year. So that was actually news to me that I just found out over the last week or so. But again, you should get notifications saying, you know what, we sent those out a little bit early. There was a rule change, and you do not have to take those required minimum distributions.
Wait a minute. It's going out April 28th. I'm hoping that's for this current upcoming tax year? Or for
correct. So it would be for the RMD for 2023. So technically you have until the end of the year, to take it. So that said, again, if you turn 72 this year and you got that letter, you will get notifications saying that you do not have that required minimum distribution this year. Good to know, if people know. Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to point out, and I thought this was interesting. There's a new piece of legislation that's in the House right now. It's called the Senior Independence Act. Now, this could impact individuals that are either phasing out of work and retiring prior to full retirement age. So, again, this is something we talk about all the time, but it has to do with the earnings test. And basically what that says is, if you make over a certain amount of income and you take your Social Security prior to your full retirement age, which is for most people 66 in a few months, maybe 67, then for every $2 of income that you earn over this year, it's $21,240, you have to pay $1 back in Social Security. All right, so that's been the rule. That number's been going up over the years, but with the Senior Independence Act, if passed, they're going to bump that up to about $30,000. So it's a $30,000 limit. Again, it hasn't been passed yet, but this is going to give people the ability to phase out. If they are making a little bit more, it gives them a little bit more flexibility, freedom to make money and not have to worry about, paying back benefits or maybe not paying quite as much back from those Social Security checks.
Well, that's what I know from, older people who are still working. It's like, I got to pay taxes on this, I got to pay taxes on the Social Security, and yada, yada, yada. It said, you know what, maybe they're not going to be able to retire. It seems to be kind of a frustration. How about just, go ahead.
Well, here's the thing that I don't like about this. the way that I look at it, I think that earnings test is actually really a protection piece for people who are deciding to, phase out and continuing to work prior to full retirement age, because you get penalized for every month that you take your benefit prior to that full retirement age. So you get a smaller check if you take early, right? Yeah. So I think, unfortunately, this could be provide a little bit of motivation for individuals to actually take those Social Security checks and work at the same time, even though they might not need those, the Social Security check. And I think it might encourage people to do that where, long term, it may benefit a lot of those people to just hold off altogether. So I don't know. I'm not really a huge fan of this piece, within the legislation, but we'll see what happens. I'm not a huge fan of it, but again, we'll see. I think a lot of people will take advantage of it, and long term, it might not help them, and that may not benefit them.
Well, I think I've talked to someone like you. Call Andrew Wood over at Dan White Associates, 888-690-8820. Just give him a call, say, hey, let's have a conversation. Here's what I got. Here's what I want to do. And you get the information. You don't charge them anything, and you give them a plan. And that's a lovely thing. 888-690-8820. This Sunday morning, 7 o'clock, Dan White hosts On the Money. And I imagine, since this is a pretty hot topic, is he going to continue with this on Sunday?
Yeah, so it'll be more about the RMDs, what you need to know when it comes to RMDs. Dan's going to go into a little bit more depth over a longer period of time, just specifically going over the details, what you need to be aware of, some things to consider when it is time for you to pull out those required minimum distributions when you hit that age.
All right, good to know. Sunday morning, 7 a.m., a cup of coffee, and learn more about what you need to know, because at some point you got to know this stuff. Or just, call Andrew. He'll walk you through it. 888-690-8820. Good talking to you, my friend. Be well.
Always happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you. It's 302-529-1017.